What is going on, everybody? What is happening? You see it? That's right. It's Ron, John, and Josh. Still Knicks fans and MBK in the building. Listen, a lot going on today, folks. There's some good news. There's some we don't care news. And then there's some is it real news? We're going to get into all of it and break it all down. So thank you for being with us today, Josh. How you doing, buddy?
Salute, Ron and John. Still Knicks fans in the building. Salute, guys. Always a pleasure to be on. And there's some news today. No matter what kind of news you want to call it, there's a lot of news today. And I'm excited that we get a chance to talk about it. Salute, fellas.
Yep. That is correct. Yep. We are here to talk about it all, folks. John, how you feeling, brother?
I'm good, man. The saga is over. It's over. That's really what I have to say about it. The saga's over.
That's right. All right, guys. So listen, we're here, and you know what? This is the NBA report. So let's get the house cleaning out the way, do the due diligence. All right. There was a Blockbuster trade that took place today in between the Utah Jazz and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know all the particulars yet. There's a lot of pieces spilled out, like this is part of the trade, but we honestly we really don't know everything that's involved in this trade. So until we get more about it, it's going to be hard to kind of report what it really is. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like the Utah Jazz traded Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, and Ochai Agbaji, along with 3 unprotected draft picks, and I believe the rights to 2 pick swaps. But it's still kind of iffy. That may be the whole case. There may be more involved in this. So until we get all the particulars, just look at it. Let's look at it from the point of there's 3 unprotected picks that are going, and we know Markkanen, Sexton, and Agbaji are going to Utah for Donovan Mitchell. I guess thoughts, first impressions. What do you think? Let's go. Let's go with John first, because I think Josh might have a little bit more to say about it. John, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
First and foremost, I personally wanted to see the trade happen, with the Knicks being a part of that trade. But I wasn't willing to let enough of those draft picks or young players go. I think we talked about it ad nauseum. And so for me, I'm kind of happy that this saga is over. We can move on. We could talk about how do we get this current Knicks roster where we need it to be. And for me, that's more important than talking about Donovan Mitchell and whether or not we failed to make the trade or lost in the trade or, whatever that conversation is. I'm cool. I was going to be cool either way. But now I'm just happy that the saga is over. I'm moving on. I'm on to the next, step in this whole development phase. And we're going to see what the Knicks front office does next.
Yeah. Let me shout out just a few people, because I know y'all were waiting. Brian Watt, JQ, Mac S, Slick Boy Soup, appreciate you. Silica Wicked Films. Type of films you into? Anyway, Wancho Sophie, Tyrone Murph, D's World of Hoops. What's going on? D, Deron Wayne, Freeman 48, Gary Ebron, Deron Wayne once again, Kevin Bergen, JC the Conqueror. Speaking of JC the Conqueror, thank you, JC. Let me see here. I want to put your super chat. I'm gonna start and we'll come right back to it. Okay. But yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the names, guys. There's 200 of y'all watching, but I just want to show a little love, especially to the people who were waiting early before we got it cracking. So thank you guys, all of y'all, for being here, supporting NBK as well as still Knicks fans. You know, we're gonna keep it going. Josh, what are your first impressions or thoughts, brother?
Wow. When I first heard it, I was pretty bummed, pretty pissed off. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But now that I know a little bit more of the details, I have mixed feelings about it. Because I'm looking at what Utah was able to acquire in the trade. So 3 unprotected first-round picks, right? I think the players don't matter. I think the underrated part about this whole thing is that the players really didn't matter. All these players that the Knicks were, a lot of Knicks fans were like, oh, don't put in the trade. The Knicks were putting them in there. RJ was definitely on the table. Emmanuel Quickly was definitely on the table. The only player that they didn't want to put in the trade was Quentin Grimes, right? But I think for players' sake, when we talk about keeping the young players and using those players as assets, the Knicks were willing to do it, right? I think what it came down to is the protections on the draft picks. Cleveland gave up 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2025, 2027, 2029, which are much more valuable than in the short term, so maybe 2023, right? They couldn't trade the 2023 draft pick because they gave away the 2022 first-round pick in the Karis LeVert trade. So that means that they can't trade that 2023 pick. So I think Utah got what they wanted as far as 3 unprotected first-round picks that were later on. And I think that was the difference in the trade. The Knicks wanted to do 3 first-round picks, but they wanted protections on that 3rd pick. And I think that was the difference in the whole thing. And, of course, even the R.J. Barrett extension didn't help the situation at all. There was really no incentive for Utah to take that on at this current point in time. And I think that was the difference in it. Knowing that really 1 first-round pick was the difference in the whole thing has me a little bummed. But now that I can sit on it and let it marinate for a little bit, I can understand why the Knicks didn't pull the trigger on it. But it still sucks as a fan. It just sucks right now.
Yeah. This is I honestly, look, I did a show on Saturday on the Know the Ledge at 11 a.m. Still Knicks fans. Shameless plug. I did a show where put together 3 different rosters. I put together a current roster that the Knicks currently have, and I filled it out. I added 2 more players to make it a 15-man. I think one of those people was like Chioza, who's a free agent. I just threw him in there, and I added Farron Hunt. And so instead of him being the G League, he was on the active roster. So that made 15. And that was with everybody that's currently on the team. Then roster number 2 was Jalen with Donovan, and keeping RJ, keeping Randall, adding like Carmelo Anthony, adding Chioza once again just to fill out the roster. And all the other people basically were here except for Obi, because Obi would have been gone in a proposed trade, and Fournier as well. So, but that was pretty much, a really like have your cake and eat it too. Everybody here. Then I did another scenario, which was a 3rd roster, in which I got rid of RJ, I got rid of Randall, and the Knicks were building with
Donovan,
Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell. And, in those trades, we wound up with this kid from Toronto. Now I forget. Small forward. What's his name?
OG?
OG.
Yeah. Anunoby. That's right. I forget things, guys. So Anunoby would have been on the team, as well as a couple other players. Once again, Carmelo, just to fill out the 15-man roster. And we voted. And after all the votes were tallied up, most Knicks fans that voted picked roster number 2 that had RJ, Donovan, Jalen, everybody you could think of, and Carmelo. I picked number 1, which was this roster currently without Donovan. Right. Because my whole thing is, when I look at these Knicks, we are trying to believe in these kids and say that, we don't want to trade the kids. We want to have the youth movement. We want to do this. We want to grow our own talent. But if we're not going to really commit to these guys and figure out what they're going to be. What are we doing here? We can't be doing one thing and then trying to do another thing without doing the first thing we were doing. Like it's just crazy. You can't do that. And the other thing that to me is really the biggest part of it, it's not easy to win an NBA championship. To build the team the right way, get to elite status and compete to get into the playoffs and then possibly go far in the playoffs every year. It's hard to do. But one thing we know, if you're watching the teams that have won recently or even in the past, some of your homegrown talent has to be effective. Like you got to cultivate these guys. You can't go out and sign 10 free agents that are all ballers. Like you might be able to get 1, 2, or 3 in some form of fashion, but the rest of your team, your guys got to grow. They got to get better. Your OBs, if he's on the team, got to get better. Your Quicklies, these guys got to get better. So my thought is these guys have to be here. They have to play. This year is really important. We got to see what these guys really are. And if they look like they can be on the team and they're ballers, then we keep rocking with them, keep cultivating them. But if after giving certain people like an OB or Quickly, hopefully, some valuable minutes, if they don't show out this year, then I think we got to move on and change up the dynamics of what we look like as a roster. But I think this year is the show and prove year for many people. It was for RJ too, but RJ got the money. So, I don't know if I agree with him getting the money right away. I thought it would have been nice for them to make him play it out and really show growth and improvement and efficiency wise. But it is what it is. So that's my thought on it. So I'm not really mad.
Let's push back on sort of that statement though.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next move for this front office? Because the reality is, if it stays the same, we know who's going to be we know where the logjam is going to happen, right?
Right.
We talked about it ad nauseum again. Fournier, logjam. Randall, logjam. Those are the two individuals who are senior players in this league and then on this team. Also, D Rose. Where are we going to find the time for these guys, these young kids to play? If we got those 3 veterans on this team, they're going to take up a lot of the bulk of the minutes. What do we say to that?
Josh?
Okay, so just to back up just a little bit, John, I'm going to get right to what you're asking. So if you look at what the Knicks, their final proposal for Donovan Mitchell was, and I think it's important and it's relevant to this conversation, both to what you said, Ron, and to John, your question. They said that the Knicks were offering IQ and RJ along with 3 picks, right? 3 of the Knicks picks. They wanted to put protections on that 3rd pick, a couple pick swaps, whatever. Essentially the same pick package that Cleveland wanted to do. The only difference was, you trade out one of those unprotected first-round picks for protection on the 3rd one. You add 2 second-rounders, and that was it. That was the protection, right? The players, it came down to RJ and IQ. So the Knicks were dangling RJ and IQ in this trade, right? Now, people are saying, well, they wanted to add another young player to the deal. I think in that scenario, they had to because the Knicks have to come within 125% of Donovan Mitchell's contract. RJ was going to make $12 million or something like that, $14 million coming up. Quickly, it's going to be another $8 million. You have to add another at least $10 to $12 million to make that deal work for the money, right? So that's the reason why that 3rd player that's unnamed was going to be named to that contract. If we were talking about getting rid of Fournier, like I wanted to happen in this trade, and I thought it had to make sense, you would talk about giving up Fournier, maybe a Cam Reddish, and then maybe McBride or something like that. The money will work in that scenario. The Knicks offer that same pick package. I think you get the deal done, right? But for some reason, Evan Fournier wasn't in that final trade proposal that the Knicks offered. It was 2 of the young kids. Now, to John's point, to your question, I think obviously it has to be Evan Fournier, because that's where the true logjam is. You got all your guards. You're talking about Quentin Grimes, who the Knicks reluctantly didn't want to put in the trade, that you want to give some playing time to. Everyone is saying that he should start. So you got him there. You got Quickly there, who are not going to be starters when you have, Jalen Brunson and Evan Fournier on the roster. And then you got Derrick Rose. I think it has to be Evan Fournier to kind of clean up that guard rotation a little bit. Randall, on the other hand, I totally agree with you. I think he has to be moved too, not just for purposes of other players not getting that shot like an Obi Toppin, maybe Jericho Sims, and that whole rotation, but I just don't like the fit with him and RJ Barrett. And RJ Barrett just got signed long-term, at least another 5 years he's going to be here in New York. To me, I just don't like that fit. So I think both of those guys has to go at one point or another. I think for the short term, it has to be Fournier, though.
I think you're both right. I think you're both correct. As much as like I'm not about throwing on Nick players out. You know what I mean? I like the fact that especially I respect the fact when a guy wants to be with the Knicks, because the Knicks, just for whatever reason, people are scared to be here. Maybe they don't want all the burden, all the expectations put on them, but some guys step up and they want to take on the challenge. Julius wanted to be here. RJ wanted to come here. Even KP, Porzingis wanted to be here. Whatever. Eventually he flaked out. But the point is, these guys at one point stepped up and they wanted to be here. And that's why part of me feels bad for Julius, because he had one really off year in terms of character and other things that happened. But at the other side of it, you got to think about this team long term. Like, if you're trying to build something here, you got to go in a different direction. And when you really look at your pieces and what you're trying to cultivate and build with, Julius doesn't fit. What the best thing the Knicks can do, which I've talked about, I think, with D Poetic, and I've talked about with other people as well, is to build Julius Randle's value up. And hopefully somewhere in between now and the trade deadline, some team comes a knocking. Because I think that if Julius looks like a model citizen and plays his game with the addition of Jalen Brunson here, who's going to make everybody else a little bit better just by his being on the roster, I think some team is going to look at Julius like, you know what? Maybe we could use him. Maybe we're that one team that's trying to make that push, and we're missing that one piece, and he might work for us. So that's what I'm hoping for. Fournier, I think, is the same, because I think one thing that you can't worry about with Fournier is like his defense and how other teams are going to look at that. It is what it is. They know what they're getting. But his shooting, and even him working out where he's playing now in international, he's still lighting it up. So Fournier might have found it. I know people were going on. I just want to throw this out there because I know people were saying a lot of stuff about Fournier when he first came to the Knicks. Listen, I looked at Fournier before when he, left Denver, when we went to Orlando. Then going from Orlando to Boston, everywhere he's went, when he first got to the team, he struggled out the gate. He needs to get comfortable. It looks like it was a little longer. Our roster construction was a little iffy to begin with. So it just maybe took Fournier a little bit more time to get comfortable with his shot and everything. But he's going now. He looked like he's right. So some team could use that. A team that's contending, Fournier coming off the bench, being that flamethrower for them, hitting threes, might really work. So just keep that in mind. Let me read this super chat and we'll get back into it. Hold on one second. Let me get that out of the way. Sorry, Josh. Thank you, JC the Conqueror, for the generous super chat. He says, us Knicks fans should be happy we didn't give up the farm for a guy who would have pushed them to the 8th seed. Well, listen, I can't argue with the logic that he would make us better, but how much better could he make us in this current year with the way the East is developing and how teams are? Let me take a page out of D Poetic's. He loves doing this, man. Let me do that. Okay. Let me break it down, guys, because sometimes we talk about it all the time, but just for people, are the Knicks better than Boston?
No.
Are the Knicks better than Miami?
Nope.
Are the Knicks better than the Bulls? Healthy Bulls.
Healthy Bulls? No.
Okay. Are the Knicks better than Philadelphia?
Nope.
No.
All right. I hate this. Are the Knicks better than Cleveland now?
Nope.
All right. It's five guys right there. 5 guys, not the burger place. All right. So I hate doing
Milwaukee, Boston.
We said Milwaukee. We said Boston. So Milwaukee, Atlanta, right?
Well, hold on. Save Atlanta. Milwaukee, Brooklyn.
None.
Toronto.
No.
That's 8 teams right there, guys.
Right.
8 teams that currently constructed the Knicks are not better than, right?
And then you got Atlanta.
Then we get to Atlanta, Charlotte.
Charlotte would be better.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think so too.
Without Bridges,
Atlanta,
I think that's
right. Atlanta, Charlotte, the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
The healthy Washington Wizards might be better than the Knicks. You talking Porzingis, Bradley Beal, like they got a couple pieces they picked up.
You can argue Orlando because they've gotten better. So
I'm just saying,
any of those
guys,
teams.
this is not it's not a turnaround season for the Knicks. The Knicks are going to struggle this year at some point, and they're going to go up against a lot of tough competition in their own backyard. So with Donovan Mitchell would have made things a lot easier, but you would have had to give up a lot because it looks like, and shout out to Alan Hahn, because I think he's right. I felt like I agreed with him when he first said it on our show, but now seeing how this whole thing is played out, I think he's 100% right. There's a New York Knick tax. People, especially in this case, Danny Ainge was definitely using the Knicks to get his best deal. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't have dealt with the Knicks if the Knicks, if Danny Ainge says, I want this, this, and this, and the Knicks say yes, okay, let's take it. What I'm saying is this negotiation has gone on for a month and a half almost, and the Knicks being the primary front runner. All the back and forth, the pause, the little vacation they took, coming back, all the trades that didn't work out. Then you get a trade that was similar to this Cav trade that Danny Ainge could have took. And the Knicks might have even thrown in one more pick, because I think the Knicks offer had one more pick in it than what he's going to get from the Cavaliers. Now the player, not unprotected. No, it wasn't unprotected. Now the player aspect of it, the Cavaliers players might be a better base than what the Knicks were offering, but Danny Ainge this whole time has been about the picks. We want picks. Mm-hmm. So my whole thing is he could have took the Knicks trade. I think somewhere down the line in the negotiations, the back and forth and the RJ ultimatum might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. I think Leon Rose got tired of this negotiation. He was ready to get it going. Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz put their stuff out there saying that they want to get this done before training camp. So there's an urgency there. Leon made his offer. Danny rejected it. Leon hit him with the ultimatum. Monday came and went. Next thing you know, RJ gets the deal, and that's it. Knicks are out of it.
Ron, okay, so to address your previous point, before we talk about the picks and who had the better deal and what Ainge could have took, I know you were asking a question about what teams are the Knicks better than, right? So first of all, I think the Knicks are going to be last in their division, right? I think the Knicks are going to be last in the division. Philly, Boston, Toronto, and am I missing one? Philly, Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Right, in the Atlantic Division. Right. The last time you had all 5 teams from one division make the playoffs and all of them finished above 500, I think was 2014, 2015. That's the only time it's happened in NBA history. Right. NBA history, that's the only time that's happened, right? And then there was some other, I think a couple more times you had, all 5 teams make the playoffs, but I think the last 2, were under 500 or whatever in the weaker conference, whatever. So right now, based on projections, the Knicks are not projected to be a playoff team. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand we got Jalen Brunson. I'm all for that. I think he signed to a great contract. I think RJ's extension is really good. Doesn't kick until next year or whatever. But the Knicks are, not projected to do anything. Okay. The second thing to your point, Cleveland had the better offer. No question about it, because their pick package was better than the Knicks. 3 unprotected, 2 pick swaps. The Knicks wanted to do 2 unprotected and 2 pick swaps, and then 1 that was protected, top 5 or whatever the case may be, in the 2029. That was the difference in it. That was the difference in the whole thing. I think this is another case of Knicks fans, and I think the Knicks organization a little bit overvaluing what they have.
Hold on, Josh. Didn't the Knicks offer 2 unprotected and 3 protected?
No, they offered the last final deal that was projected was RJ, IQ, 2 unprotected first-round picks, 25 and 27 or something like that. And then that third was supposed to be unprotected first-round pick. It was going to be top 5 protected. That was it. And then the 2 pick swaps were in there, right? And then because that last one was unprotected, then they wanted to throw in 2 second-round picks or whatever the case may be. Utah was all about the unprotected from the get-go. Cleveland offered more. 3 unprotected. That's the reason why the deal got done and it went in their favor. And for some reason, the Knicks were unwilling to make that move. And for those in the chat who think I'm wrong, read Woj's tweet. Don't just ask me, read the tweet. I can pull it up right now and show you exactly what it was. I'll pull it up right now and show you. I'm wrong. Okay, let's find out if I'm wrong. Matter of fact, I got the article right here. Boom. It says, where are you? Okay. New York had the assets Utah preferred, and the sides seemed to be inching closer on the trade Sunday night and into Monday, but the Knicks balked on including Quentin Grimes in the trade with R.J. Barrett to acquire Mitchell. When the guard Emmanuel quickly was proposed as a replacement for Grimes in the trade, Utah wanted 3 unprotected first-round picks as part of the package, but New York would only do a third first-round pick that included top 5 protections. Those packages would have included 2 second-round picks and 2 pick swaps.
Okay. All right. So that's the final offer. That's the newest final offer.
That was the newest final offer that it was. And Cleveland just went 3 unprotected, 2 pick swaps, and that was the reason why it got done. Right? So that was literally the difference in the whole thing. And, from a Knicks perspective, I can understand. I'm not, coming down on them for not doing it. If that's what they wanted to hold back on, that's what they wanted to hold back on. But I think this is a case of everyone overvaluing, not everyone, but some Knicks fans overvaluing our young players. And even the front office kind of overvaluing our young players. Now all of a sudden you want to say R.J. Barrett's the cornerstone of your organization when last week you dangled him out there in the trade? Please, come on. I mean, don't be fooled by that, everybody. Like, I want to listen. I'm not trying to get rid of R.J. and everything like that, but I'm just letting you know that's what it was. Don't get mad at me. Be mad at the front office. They dangled R.J. and IQ out there in the trade, not me.
Right.
All right. Well, I mean. Man. All right. Hold on. Let me get to these super chats and then I'll say what I was going to say. Shout out to Della Music 50. Thank you for the generous super chat. He's great question. Ask it with Mark Jackson or Atkinson as coach makes a difference. I wonder what the question was.
Meaning playing the young players. Like,
maybe it had something to do with the young players. I'm guessing, Della Music, that you do not believe in Tibbs being the coach that can take this young team to the next level. I can understand that. I think a lot of Knicks fans would agree with you. Development-wise and just cultivating the youth looks like it's going to be very tricky for Tibbs. Even though, according to Mark Berman, he says he really wants to try to, give some of these young guys a better look and more minutes, in particular Obi. And now that we know Obi's here, we got to see if Tibbs is a man of his word, how he's going to figure out how to play this guy, knowing that you got Julius Randle still here. And most likely, I mean, listen, who we kidding? We're going to have to showcase Julius Randle. We need him out there playing and looking good so we can move him. So,
especially if you can't move him now, right? If other teams are unwilling to, even bite on a trade proposal for him, even for Evan. Right? If teams aren't looking for Evan, we're going to have to play them in order to get their stock up because that's just what's holding it all back. But at this point, can we trust Tibbs to really put forth a real effort in giving the young kids an opportunity over the players he has here under bigger contracts like a Fournier, like a Randle? It's going to be hard. I would say that's the front office's job to say, we're going to take that option away. You know what I mean? That's their job. Take those options away.
So the only question I have, and it kind of throws me off in this whole thing, is Markkanen's contract. Because Markkanen has 3 years remaining on his contract at $16, $17, $18 million. Fournier has 2 plus a team option. So I think Fournier could have easily be included in there to replace Markkanen. I'm not sure what happened there with Fournier. How come he wasn't in the Knicks' final offer? Maybe you can save him one of the younger players if that's something you were trying to do. In that regard, but I just don't understand why we couldn't be able to get this deal done. I mean, outside of the draft pick situation, making the money work. I mean, you could have easily took Quickly out and put Fournier in there, and then you got RJ and Fournier. That gets the deal done if you think about it that way, right, from a money perspective. So,
but on the Utah side, they could probably flip Markkanen. They don't have to keep him.
Right. So, and that was my other point. As far as Randle's concerned, Randle has 4 years remaining, three in a player option. So 4 years guaranteed money remaining if he takes that player option. It's not as easy to move Randle right now, but I think you can move Randle around the league. I just think Utah didn't want him. Right. Utah didn't want him because they don't want 4 years being tied up to a player for 4 years, but then they signed marketing for 3. So that's why I'm kind of confused as to what Utah actually wanted from a player perspective. That's why I don't think players actually matter.
Yeah, my assumption is that Utah already got suitors for marketing, and so
that could be it.
You know what I mean? It's already an easy swap, maybe for another unprotected or a few protected picks.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I think Utah, Danny Ainge is definitely wheeling and dealing. He is basically just trying to. I mean, it's his blueprint, but it's just the same thing that you've seen OKC do in more recent times. Just acquiring tons and tons of draft assets, and you're looking at OKC and how they're building. I mean, a couple years from now, OKC's team is probably going to be one of the best teams in the league if they cultivate and develop that talent. But they got some nice pieces over there. Let me read this other super chat, and then maybe we can kind of talk some Knicks fans off the ledge, because I'm giving you the negative of how I feel about what's taking place and what we should be doing going forward. But I'm gonna talk to the positives too. Okay. First off, shout out to Mr. Knicks 101. Thank you for the generous super chat. He said over 300 million and not even guaranteed to make the plan. What is plan B for this team? Which leads right into what I think we should talk about next. I think what a lot of people have been throwing out, there have been names that people have been throwing out there, like OG Anunoby. Not a plan B, just more of a player that might change how the roster construction looks, give us a little bit more defense, a different level of scoring. He's not a shooter, but he's a scorer. But he's also got a good motor. Can he stay healthy? Don't know. That's a little bit of an issue. But as far as just his ability and what he brings, Knicks don't have that right now. He's someone that could help. I think another player that a lot of people have been throwing out there, I've always liked him. I thought the Knicks should have considered trying to get him a long time ago. And I think he would love to play with his brethren, RJ, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that's an interesting person for the Knicks to consider being a plan B. And you know what? Maybe it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe the price tag is a little less than Donovan. Hopefully it is, but you're dealing with Sam Presti, so you can never tell. But that would be something that I would think is a much smarter move right now, if they could pull it off, and if Sam Presti is willing to trade him, because he's a player that can ball, but he's not the guy. You know what I mean? You don't need him to be the guy. He just needs to be better than what we already have, which he would be. And then later, when the guy presents itself, you can go all in and get that guy. Like it makes much more sense to get this guy in, trade a little bit less to bring him in than what you would have to give for Donovan. And then when the guy does present himself, whoever that is, it could be a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe it's Anthony Edwards. I don't know. Whoever it is, maybe that's when you go all in. You say, this guy is the game changer. We got RJ, we got Shai. I don't know if one of the other young kids presents themselves as being someone we can build with. Then you can go get that guy, and maybe now you got a team that people can say, all right, we can go to the next level. We may not be a championship team, but they may be a deep playoff team, which is baby steps for this Knicks team. What do you guys think about that, John? What do you think about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being a plan B type person that we could look at?
I mean, that's cool. That wouldn't be my plan B. My plan B was suggested already for me. It's move Fournier, find a suitor for Fournier. Allow for Grimes. Me personally would feel better starting rotation with RJ and Cam. Let the two Dookies work together, build on chemistry alongside Jalen Brunson. And then at some point, if you can move Randall, you move Randall and make room for Obi. That would be my plan B. Let the young players play. You know what I'm saying? Allow them to mature with you and then see what you got. But if I'm not willing, or the opposite of that is playing Grimes alongside RJ. But for me, it's about moving on from Fournier. I get it. He shoots the hell out of the ball. It just, for me, isn't a right fit for this team. And so kudos to him. And I appreciate him for wanting to be here, because he is one of those players who wanted to come. But for me, it doesn't fit the mold that I feel the Knicks needs to be going into in their future. So if he's not a part
Okay.
of our future, we got to move on from him. So for me, I'm not even chasing the SGA. I'm not chasing anyone anymore. Build with who we have. Try to remove the logjam that currently exists with the current Knicks roster, and move on.
And before we get to Josh, I want to say I agree with you. That's my plan. But I was saying if they were, because we don't know what the Knicks have in mind. If the Knicks are okay with rocking out with this young group and letting them play and go forward, okay. I think, me and you are both in agreement. But if the Knicks aren't okay with that, if they want to go bring in somebody else, would you be okay with Shea?
Yeah, I mean, but I don't want to see another saga, because then the saga will continue. Like we are a month away from starting the season. We don't need this over the Knicks team. Like, we don't need the extra drama. Okay, we lost out on Donovan. Some would say that's a good thing. Some would say, hey, we could have, we could have gone a little further and give away a little bit more draft picks. Okay, wherever you are within that mix, the point is it's done with. Let's move on. What's next? I personally want to see the front office make decisions on whether or not we're going to be a younger team vying for an opportunity to see where we can go with that young team or not. I'm not trying to go through this again. It's ridiculous.
Right. I hear you. Josh, how do you feel about first off, like the plan B of moving off of certain players and then rocking with these young kids? Are you okay? Are you comfortable with that? And two, if the Knicks don't want to do that and they still are going to be targeting some player to add to the team, who would you think is a plan B that you'd be comfortable with if there's somebody out there that you like? Shea is an example. Yeah.
So yes, I am comfortable with the Knicks moving off of Fournier, moving off of Randall, making room for the kids to play and all that stuff. And I think that's still on the table, depending on, but I don't know, what's going to need to happen or who we're going to get back in those trades. We're not just dumping Fournier's salary. Somebody's going to have to come back, whether it be a veteran player or something. We're going to have to get something back for him and for Randall. Randall's not a slouch. I think a lot of teams realize that. They're going to have to give up something to bring back for Randall. So, let's say we get rid of both of those players or one of them, you're going to have to bring back someone to, perhaps be in that rotation or maybe not, right? So there's just that point. As far as SGA is concerned, not a shooter, right? So if you get rid of Fournier, well, first of all, you're going to have to put SGA in the two hole. He is not a shooter, right? You bring SGA to this lineup, where are we getting the shooting from? Like, there's no shooting in the lineup at all. Not a fan of SGA unless, maybe you get rid of Randall, but still, I don't know where we're going to get that shooting from. Maybe hopefully we can bring in a shooting big, a stretch big, to put that into the lineup or at the 4-hole or whatever. Or if Obi turns out to be that player, who knows? But I'm just not a fan of SGA at this point. If we didn't have Brunson, I would be all for it. But now that Brunson's there, I'm not a fan of putting SGA in that lineup. But like John said, I'm comfortable with moving off of Fournier, moving off of Randall, getting these young guys a shot, because with them, I still think we are
where we at.
Where we at. I think we're gonna be a lottery, and I think we'll make some strides. You'll see a lot of things from the young players. Now, I don't think we're gonna be terrible, but I do think we're gonna be a lottery team next year.
Right. Expect the same record, right? We're not going.
Yeah, give or take, give it more or less. Muscle mental, right. More.
You know, 1 or 2 more wins, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I think the Knicks will finish right around 500, like 40 to 41 wins. I'll say 40 and 42, something like that. Right. As of right now, based on the roster. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but based on the roster, what I see from the Eastern Conference right now, and just NBA history, it's going to be very difficult for the Knicks to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have stellar seasons by RJ, Brunson, and Randall in order to get over any sort of hump.
I think
even
RJ
to make a play-in team, right? Even to be in the play-in caliber, you're gonna have all-star caliber play by those 3 individuals.
I think RJ is a big. This is it for RJ right here. Yeah. This is the year for him. And I know people want to say, "Oh, he got a point guard now. Let's see how he's going to do." I think this is the year. If RJ can take that next step, perhaps we wouldn't be talking from a place of us not having anybody and just acquiring that first star. If RJ can become that first star, then I think the Knicks become more attractive for people in free agency. And I think the Knicks will be more likely to trade others to pair up with RJ. And now you're talking about something. Now we have something we can do. But RJ hasn't shown us that he can be a star yet. I think that's what we're all waiting on.
Ron, you said it. Year 4. You said it.
We'll see. We'll see. That's why I'm thinking that it's about for guys like RJ. Listen, even with everything that's happened, guys, this is what I think in my heart, because I'm a believer. Listen, don't kill me. This is how I am. Even though I said like I said, I talked about all the negative. I think as Knicks fans, we're fine. I think we have some good talent here. I think the talent needs to play so we can see it. Hint, Thibodeau, hint. But I honestly think Grimes is going to have a great year for him, for Grimes. And that, to me, that's, you might say that's not saying much, because he didn't play, he got hurt last year, and he didn't have a lot of time to really show. But I think he will have a really good year. I think his defense is going to be pretty damn good. I don't want to say stellar. I don't want to put all that on the young kid. He's still got to learn the NBA, learn the players. But I think his defense is going to be much improved from last year. I also think on the offensive side, I think he's going to learn to be a little bit more consistent, because he looks like he's working on other ways to try to score the basketball, get in a little bit, take a mid-range, or get to the rim. His getting to the rim looks actually pretty good. So I think he's going to be better. I think RJ is going to ball out. That's my feeling. I think RJ is going to get off to a good start, and he's going to ball out behind the help of Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson is going to turn into a star. I'm not a superstar. I'm just saying, like, you're going to see his value really shoot up, because he has a chance to be the guy that brings it all together for this team. So I think Jalen's going to look great. And I also think Julius is going to rebound. I think Julius is going to give you that 20. Well, now that Donovan's not here, he can give you that 20, 10, and 5, or 20, 10, and 4, because I think Jalen's going to have the ball a little bit more in situations. So he might not have the chance to give you 5 assists on a consistent manner. So I think 20, 10, and 4 is something that's reachable for Julius on higher efficiency for him and both RJ. Here's my wild card. I think if Thibodeau finds a way to give Emmanuel quickly minutes, because I think he's going to go with Derrick Rose out the gate if Derrick is healthy. I think at some point, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I said this already, I think Derrick Rose won't be healthy, because that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's how his body is. He's an older person. You know what I mean? It's an older athlete. At some point, Quickly is going to get good minutes, and I think Quickly is going to be the sleeper for the team. I think Quickly is going to have a really good year, because one thing that and I'm going to have to give credit to D Poetic once again, because he's always looking at numbers, and we're talking about it like on Saturdays. Quickly's totals, his efficiency ratings, his assist to turnover ratios, his defensive rate. Quickly is a solid player in the time that he gets. So if you give him that same time with a different lineup, having him out there with Brunson, and you might see something like with him and Grimes, Brunson, you might see him play a little differently, and it's going to be as effective, if not better. I think this team can win 43 games. Now, that, to me, and that's not crazy, because it's an 82 game season, so we're talking like 43 and 39, something like that. I can see them doing it. That doesn't mean they're going to go far. That doesn't mean they're going to make it past the first round in the playoffs. I just think that, they might have a shot, but I think they could do that. So that's my thought. Sorry to be long-winded about it, but I just want to get that out there and let fellow Knicks fans know that I don't think it's all doom and gloom. It don't look great. I ain't going to lie to you, but it's not as bad as it could look. Because I think as much as everybody else around the league is better, I think the Knicks are a little better too. So.
Well, 43 wins in the Eastern Conference gets you a 10th seed. Right, so the Knicks need to be in play, right? So they would have to win 2 games in order to get into the top 8, right? And then they'll go up against whoever the 1 seed is, Philly, Milwaukee, whoever, and then that's when they'll meet their fate. But what I will say in regards to us not knowing who we have, I think that narrative is kind of played out for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. I hear what you're saying in regards to us as the fans. We don't know what we have as far as what we see, because we feel people should get more time and stuff like that. But I feel like the Knicks know. I feel like they know. That's why they dangled him out in trades or chose to keep back Grimes. I think they know. So, I just think, we can all wish, that the players get more time. I think that the young players got a lot of time last season. A lot of time. I think Tibbs played them, adequately, in my opinion. They earned the minutes that they got. No question about that, in my opinion. people have those narratives and all that stuff. You know, I really don't believe in that because that's just a talking point. But Quickly played. Quentin Grimes played until, you know, he got hurt. You know, Jericho Sims got a lot of time towards the end of the season. Obi got a lot of time towards the end of the season, right? So, and RJ and Mitch been playing, right? So the young guys are getting time. That's how the fans are so optimistic about some of these guys. But I just think the front office knows what they have, and that's why they were willing to deal with some of these guys. But you know, now it's who we have, and you know, we ain't got no choice now. We gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. For that narrative, just take it away from Tibbs. Don't give Tibbs the opportunity to play those narratives, right? Move it away from him. Try your best to try your best to make room for players to have the opportunity to play 20, 30 plus minutes, because there's no way Cam is playing on this team. He's not getting any minutes behind Quick. He's not going to have an opportunity, right? And so what are you doing with him? What are you doing with him? So if you're not going to play him, you might as well trade him for a couple of picks, you know? So for me, it's like, we got to make room. We got to make room. You can't allow it. You can't wait and say, oh, well, we're going to need a full-on bench because players are going to get hurt. Players always get hurt. You gotta look for the room now. You know what I mean? And then hope you can make some moves mid-season and before the trade deadline in order to stack your team up appropriately. And so for me, I'm like, let's try to make a move. Start with Fournier. If you can't move Fournier, then move some other guys.
But John, to your point though, I mean, we got rid of Burks, we got rid of Noel, we got rid of Taj Gibson, Kemba's gone, right? So those are four guys. I don't know what the Knicks' average age on their roster is now, but it definitely went down. If you're talking about getting rid of those guys,
they're
right?
younger.
I mean, right? The Knicks had an average age of, I think it was 27 or 29 or something like that. That was right in the middle, right at league average last year. That's going to go down drastically once you talk about getting rid of Taj Gibson, Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks and Kemba and all those guys. And then we add, Jalen Brunson, Hartenstein, who's 20-something,
right.
young 20-something. So I think the Knicks are still going to be a very, very young team. I hear what you're saying. Go full on, get rid of Randall and Fournier. Those are the veterans, but even
I'm
Randall's
okay
27.
with sticking with Randall. I'm just saying, for me, you got to start with the wing players.
The logjam.
The logjam is in the wing spot because you got Quick, you got Rose. Unless you move in Rose, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to move Rose and that's Tibbs' guy, then you got to make a move somewhere. And right now, Fournier does not match with this squad. He just doesn't. Defensively, we already talked about it. We know what he brings. Offensively, he has great games. He had great games against Boston, right? And we're going to see Boston this year. But we have to move further. We have to move away from, if he's not a part of our, we got to move on. We got to move on.
That's a good question. I'm going to star that one. I'm going to get to that, Sim. That's an interesting question because I'm curious about that too. I agree with you, Josh, but I have a little pushback because
the caveat. Here it is. The caveat.
Here it is. Yeah. No disrespect, but this is about to be disrespectful. No, I'm just joking. I just feel that, and this is gonna segue into our next thing that we wanted to talk about before we got out of here.
Yeah.
I just feel that Berman is a funky source, but some of the stuff he says is there's some truth to it. There's bits and pieces to it. Sometimes he sensationalizes some things. He's got a job to do, but then other times he gives you nuggets of stuff that is truth, and he puts it on them that this is what was said. Okay, fine. What we saw, I don't care how it looked, who they were playing. I get it. At the end of the season, we saw that Obi and Quickly were playing valuable minutes, right? Sims as well. What was said, Berman said that Thibodeau felt that after watching how the kids played down the stretch, he feels like he should have played them more minutes. So if I'm to believe that, right, and then he doubled down this year after the season, like a couple weeks ago, he said it on another show that Thibodeau feels that he is definitely going to get, and he was specific, more minutes for Obi. So that tells me
how
that
though?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Grimes, Randall plays
I don't know.
38 plus minutes.
And he
But
can't play
remember-
the 5 either. Yeah.
Well, but Randall might be able to play a little at the 3.
You really
He did
believe
slim
that?
down. Listen. One thing I do know is that Julius Randle's defense, his one-on-one, man-to-man defense on players is pretty damn good.
Not against
His help
forwards.
defense,
Not
no,
against
his
small
help
forwards.
defense. But we didn't see him a lot in those situations. We saw him
Seen him against
protecting on the
guards.
wing, but that was on wing stuff. In the paint, he's actually a pretty good defender.
But they're not going to play. A wing player is not going to play
That
in
goes
the paint.
to scheme. That goes to scheme. Remember, Thibodeau is the one saying he's going to find more minutes. If you're going to find more minutes, you got to figure out a way to do it. I'm not saying it. Well, I mean, that's what he said. I don't know. I don't know. But my point is, they might experiment with, Obi at the 3 as well on some cases. I'm not saying you want to do that too often because he will get beat. He's his defensive. He's not slow-footed, but his defense is not good. He's still working on learning how to be in the right spot and be a deterrent for the opposing player.
Even more reason to move on from Fournier. What are we doing?
John ain't gonna let it go. He got.
You put Randall on the 3. Now you still got Fournier on this team. Like, how do you do that?
So, Ron, here's what I will say. So I agree with you. I think there needs to be a conversation about how we can be able to get Obi Toppin more minutes, right? To me, I think the best way to do it, and I know Sim probably disagrees because we spoke about this before. He thinks there could be a world where you could put Obi at the 3 or Randall at the 3, Obi at the 4. And I personally don't see it. To me, I think what makes the most sense for the Knicks in their current situation right now is to go small ball. And Tibbs has shown unwillingness to do that. Because I think when we play small ball defensively, we're not that bad of a team when you put Randall at the 5, Obi at the 4. And on top, it creates so many mismatches for Julius Randle. He can abuse centers in his sleep. Like what he did to Gafford of Washington last season was he just abused him when every center that Julius Randle went up against, with the exception of Karl Anthony Towns, right? But also offensively, the team, they just look so much better. The floor is spread out. Like, I think that, because I personally don't like the fact that Mitchell Robinson stays in the paint and he doesn't, leave the paint, and then guys can't drive, and now we're forced to take jump shots. I like the fact that the floor is spread out a little bit. So to me, I think it kills 2 birds in 1 stone by going with a small ball lineup at times, not a lot, at times. And I think that helps the defense and the offense, and it knocks out the fact of getting Obi some more time. But Tibbs has just shown an unwillingness to do that. And that's why, I'm not really feeling it. I think Tibbs is not really feeling it. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Let me knock this out the box.
in the mix. There's no way
he's
going.
And then that too. Yep.
That's a good point, John. That's a tough one.
Sam, you're right. I corrected it, Sam. I said Randall at the 3, Obi at the 4. I understand.
I could see Randall playing some 3 though. I just think he slimmed down a little bit. Maybe Tibbs is willing to try it. I'm not saying it's gonna work. I'm just saying maybe he's willing to try it. But whatever. Shout out to get that out here. JC the Conqueror. Thank you for the generous super chat. He said the Knicks need to tank for the French kid or the other kid. I believe you're talking about Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson. And I'm with you that I don't want the Knicks to tank, but if they're not that good, I wouldn't be mad if they wound up in the top 5 somewhere. Definitely Scoot Henderson is the guy I like. I would love him to be on the Knicks. But the Wembanyama Rama, I don't know, man. I'm a little worried about him. I know he's got all the talent in the world. He could be the best NBA player we've seen in a long time. I'm just worried about that thin frame. He's 7'4" right now, I think. He's 7'3" or 7'4", and he's 7'5" even. He's like 19 years old. I don't even know if he's done growing. Like, I don't know. I'm a little worried about it, but I get it. So yeah, I hear you, JC. I wanted to get the Sims thing real quick and then get into this Cam Reddish stuff. Sims said, where is it? Boom, there you go. I want to know what the Knicks and Jazz know about Grimes that makes him so valuable. I too am curious where this all came from, but what I will say, and this is why I can plant my flag and get back on it again, folks. I said it before. Now I jumped out the window in the beginning. I know I was wrong. I was comparing, Quentin Grimes to Klay Thompson.
Scottie Pippen.
I was saying I could say he could be Klay Thompson Jr. That was wrong of me because one of the things I wasn't accounting for was one that, first off, he's a lot smaller than Klay Thompson. I didn't realize Klay Thompson's like 6'6", with a long wingspan, and I'm not taking nothing away from him. I just thought that the way Quentin Grimes plays defense, his footwork, the way he goes after, and he's got some intensity to him. I see that Klay has that. Okay. Shooting wise, he has a beautiful form. When he's right, it looks great, but he's not consistent. Klay, has his moments where he don't, but when Klay's on, he is like a freaking boom. He don't stop. Quentin hasn't got there yet. And I'm not saying he will ever be Klay Thompson. What I'm saying is I do think that he is a guy, if you gave him the minutes, he could be a scoring option for you and play really good defense. So I think that other teams, in particular Utah and the Knicks, for whatever reason, are starting to value him. You saw some of the stuff he did in the summer league. Those moves that he was doing, getting to the rack, he was doing it with ease and getting comfortable. And his passes, he was setting people up. He was doing some turnovers because he's being more aggressive. But I think you like the fact that he looks like he's developing and working on his game. Whereas some other Knicks, we haven't seen a lot of that development yet. So we still is left to be seen. Like even RJ, we do know that pretty much RJ every year works on something. He gets better at something. But I can't tell you what RJ is working on right now that it looks better than what I've seen before. So we got to see how it all plays out. With Quentin Grimes, you actually see him doing something different that you didn't see before. And as you guys know, I think, Josh, you were on that show when Quentin Grimes' trainer was on. Quentin said, I played the role I was given. They wanted me in the corner. I stood in the corner. I did my thing. I wasn't doing other things. So now he's looking to do that stuff. So that's what I just wanted to put that out there and see maybe that helps us understand or look at Quentin Grimes, that he could be something a little better than, the quote unquote ham sandwich that some people have said he.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I mean, I agree with you, Ron. Like I said, Quentin Grimes is personally for me my favorite out of the young players. I just love like that. He shoots that basketball. He is not afraid to put that basketball up, whether he's making it, whether he's not making it. He is just confident. I love the confidence in him that he had just coming out as a rookie. Playing defense, guarding the opposing team's best player on the floor, and taking those jump shots. So that's what I really like about him. He had that from the get-go. Sometimes rookies, it takes them time to get that confidence. Like it took Obi, a year and a half to get it, right? Quickly kind of had that confidence, coming out. But Grimes, to me, so that's probably what it is, Sim. That's probably what the Knicks and Jazz seeing this kid, the confidence and the 3-and-D potential. I think that's probably the reason why. As Ron was talking about.
Yeah, well, I see we have solid backup guys. That's my opinion. We got really solid backup guys. And for whatever reason, some teams may need that in their team. I don't see Grimes, I don't see any of those guys right now as being potential starters on any squad. I think they're really good role players. They're really solid role players, and that's about it. So
you can be a starter and still be a role player, though.
Yeah, but like you're talking about like starter.
I mean, like
Mikal
Bridges.
I'm not talking about
Bridges
number one options.
Like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about guys who are like, good off the bench, potentially 6-man type. I don't see quality like number one player option types.
Oh well, no. I don't think
so. I think there's a medium. I think there's a medium
to
what Ron was trying to say. You don't necessarily have to be a number one option, but I think you can be a starter, a capable starter in the league. You don't have to average 20. You don't have to be all-star or whatever, but you can be a capable starter like a Mikal Bridges. He's a really good starter. He makes less than $100 million, less than $90 million or something like that, and he plays his role. But his role just happens to be on a really, really good team. So I think that's what Ron was getting at, not necessarily Klay Thompson himself.
No. I was, like I said, that was me early Grimes. I was jumping out the window because I wanted him to really succeed. But no, in fairness, at Grimes' peak, maybe better defender, but like maybe like an Aaron Aflalo, somebody like that. And before anybody gets trippy with Aaron Aflalo with the Knicks, Aaron Aflalo prior to the Knicks was nice. Okay, I mean, he played a really good role. Yeah.
But he was their number one guy. Right?
I know
he was in Orlando, so that's different.
Yeah. But I think Grimes could be an Aaron Aflalo type. Maybe not a number one guy, but you can still put up those type of scoring numbers and play really good defense.
So like basically Fournier with the defense.
Yeah, pretty much.
Better than Fournier. Better than Fournier.
Yeah,
because he can put the ball.
Yeah, because Fournier's
it's
different.
Like a Fournier type of role.
Yeah.
I got you.
Shout out to Demo B. Thank you for the generous super chat. And right after this super chat, I want to get into Cam stuff, and so we can get out of here because I know Steph, the queen, is back. She's probably about to start her show on Dope Soul Sports Talk. And so you guys can get over there and check her out. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But Demo B said, thank you for the generous super chat. The elephant in the room is Jalen Brunson. This team has not had a starting point guard in forever. Can we see how this team runs without Burks and Payton? Yeah.
We can't put we can't put expectations on this team just because Brunson's here, right? I think that's unfair. Like we're supposed to allow him the opportunity to learn the system, play within the system, and be the best version of him. You know what I mean? And that's all we can ask for. If that means make an all-star team, great. If it doesn't, so be it. But at the end of the day, we got to know that he can run this team as a starting point guard.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I honestly, I'm not just saying it because he's our new shiny, acquisition. I really think Jalen Brunson is going to surprise a lot of people. I think a lot of people are still sleeping on what Jalen Brunson can do. They're going to be kind of surprised at how gritty he is and just how heady of a player he is. He's a lot smarter than what we've kind of put out there in recent times. So
we'll be surprised if he isn't. Let's just say that.
If he isn't, then I'll be like, what the hell? I think that's
deployment. Guys, I like Jalen Brunson. I was always advocating for him to come here. I think he's an upgrade for sure at the point guard position. But I think we need guys who can put the ball in the hole. Like guys at that Donovan Mitchell level to put the ball in the hole. And right now we don't have guys like that. And that's why the Knicks offense, to me, in my opinion, has been one of the worst offenses in the league over the last 4 years. To me, it's not because of lack of point guard play. I think it's a contributing factor. I think the biggest reason is we don't have guys who can flat out get you buckets. Buckets. And I think that's what we're missing right now.
Right. And as much as we wanted to say Fournier was that guy in open 3 spot and getting open looks, a lot of times he didn't hit the open looks. He hit the opposite. You know what I mean? He got where he was sort of mix of an offense and he scored his buckets. But as an open shooter, he didn't knock him down on a regular. I watched that every game, 82 plus games. You know what I mean? His best games were against like Boston. Pretty much. You take that away, and then what was he?
Right. Exactly. I agree. These were the hoops. And listen, I think you're going to realize, Funky Goose World, that Brunson is better than Felton. But I will say this. We forget quickly. First time around, Felton was balling, man. Felton had some nice moments with this New York Knicks team. Second time around, Felton was different. But the first time around, Felton got busy. And listen, I'm just telling you, Jalen can do that, and maybe take it to a little higher level. I swear to you that I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid when I tell you that Jalen Brunson can be a star type player for the Knicks, not a superstar, but a star type, like someone you can depend on to make the right play or to get a bucket if we're down, or just do some things that you need when you're trying to win basketball games. Stuff like that. So that brings me to this whole Cam Reddish thing that came out of nowhere today. So apparently Chris Berman said that Cam Reddish why am I saying Chris Berman? Chris Berman is the dude, the football guy, right? Why am I thinking Chris Berman? Mark Berman said that Cam Reddish would like a change of scenery. That's what he said, basically. So we equate that to him saying that he wants to be traded. A little while after, Cam, someone said something about it, and Cam said, this dude's just tripping. I ain't say anything like that. basically saying that he didn't put that out there. And then he even doubled back on it and said that he didn't do anything of the sort. Basically, he wasn't trying to request that. Whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. Now, Cam could have went to the front office and just said, look, I see how everything's playing out. I think I'm the odd man out for minutes. If this is going to be the case, I would love for you to look at other alternatives for me because I need to play. I'm coming up on my contract year. I think that's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be a Knick or he doesn't want to be here. It could just mean that he said, look, if I'm going to be the odd man out and I'm not going to get the minutes to play, see what you can do to help move me so I can get that playing time. I need to fight. I'm fighting for my money. Josh, wait, hold on. John, what do you think about that? Because Josh got a lot to say. He's been waiting for this.
I mean, I wouldn't fault him if he did or if he didn't. Right? You gotta be crazy not to see what's in front of you. Right? You gotta be sort of delusional to not to see what's in front of you as a player. If I'm a player in his position, I'm looking at the scope of why am I here? Am I going to be able to be an asset for this team or I'm not? So even if he was to say it, I wouldn't be mad at it. You know what I mean? It's really I'm saying it again. It's on the front office, not to allow the opportunity, not to allow Tibbs the opportunity to make those decisions. So, whether he said it or he didn't, you know what I mean? I don't know. And I really don't care. I just he knows that there's a log jam. Can he outplay the next person in practice and really get a real shot? I doubt it. That's all I got, Josh. That's it. Go for it.
So I tweeted this earlier. First of all, Mark Berman came out with the article that said that Cam Reddish has a preference that he'd rather be somewhere else because of lack of playing time, whatever, right? So I tweeted this out earlier. Either Mark Berman's lying, either Cam Reddish is lying, or either someone from the Knicks organization's lying. One of the three things has to be going on here because Mark Berman, what's his incentive? Okay, to sell papers, right? To manufacture stuff, to sell papers. That's the negative, right? But people are acting like Cam Reddish doesn't have an incentive for putting out a lie, or the Knicks organization. Cam Reddish, his incentive for putting this out there, the way he put it out there, is to make it seem like he's not a guy that runs away from situations that he's not comfortable in. Look what happened in Atlanta. He formally requested a trade out of Atlanta. Formally, meaning he went to the organization, I guess put it in writing, and formally requested a trade out of Atlanta. So how would that look if he does the same in New York, right? So when, that thing was there, the Knicks wished him happy birthday, and someone came and said, well, Cam Reddish just requested a trade. And he was like, when did I ever request a trade? And put the cap sign or whatever like that. To me, I just think it's semantics. No, you didn't formally request a trade. However, you do have a preference that you want to be somewhere else where, you can play more and, you can get some playing time. So to me, that's all semantics to me. Either way, you don't want to formally request a trade in two different locations in less than a year because it makes you seem like a player that can't handle situations, right? Mm-hmm. And, let's say that it's not true and Cam Reddish never did any of that. Who's to say that the Knicks didn't leak that to Berman? So Berman can write that article just in case Cam Reddish was getting involved in trades. So now it can seem like Cam Reddish wanted out the whole entire time and the Knicks accommodated his wishes.
I mean,
I'm not saying, listen, Ron, I'm not saying I don't know which one is true and which one is not true. All I'm saying is I'm tired of this fake news or this fake media narrative that is constantly being played throughout the Knicks fan base. All of a sudden, there's no merit to nothing because you don't agree with the take or you don't agree with the report. Does not mean that the report just came out of nowhere and that all reporters are making up everything that you don't agree with. Mark Berman, weeks ago, matter of fact, months ago, when he came on the MBK show, and I asked him, I said, is it possible that RJ can be traded? Or if RJ was untradeable? He said, no, RJ's not untradeable. The Knicks will consider doing it. And then when Ian Begley said it, everyone started being serious about it and having that anxiety, right? And then as we can tell, RJ was floated in trade rumors, right? But it was because it's Berman, and people hated the fact that it was Berman that was saying it, that they didn't want to believe it. Like, I'm just sick of these conspiracy theories. Knicks fans remind me of Trump supporters. I got to say it. They just really do. I'm sorry. I mean, we do. I mean, everything's fake news.
That's a rough one, Josh.
If you say something that doesn't agree with the organization or doesn't hold the organization in the highest of light, it's fake news. And to me, I'm just tired of that narrative. Like, we got to start holding the organization accountable more instead of thinking that the media is all fake and, all the show. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people in the chat are going to disagree with me, whatever. I'm just being honest. That's just how I feel. I'm not talking for nobody else except myself. So there you go.
That's why I say I don't care. At the end of the day, it's their life, right? He's a player in this league. It's his life. It's his livelihood, right? So whether he chooses to be outspoken about it or not, that's his decision to make. You know what I mean? Who's his agent? Rich Paul,
Clutch.
Right?
Yeah.
So he has no affiliation to the CAA. So he can choose to ask to get pushed or moved, right? He has every right to as a player, especially if he feels like, yo, I'm never going to get an opportunity. What's wrong with that? I think more players need to be honest with themselves and be honest just in general. I think part of this whole play is because it's a business, and so they don't want to lose stock in anything. You know what I mean? They don't want to be looked at as a sore thumb within an organization. And to Josh's point, like, it could have been semantics. Who knows? I personally don't care as a fan. I'm like, yo, if you don't want to be here, don't be here. If you want to be here, then say it. Play for your spot. Hopefully, you get an opportunity. But you gotta, as a front office, that comes down to the front office making decisions around who's going to stay and who's going to go and who's going to get the opportunity in minutes, and not just leave that all on the coach, because the coach is going to only play who he knows, who he's comfortable with.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know whether it's true or not. I think, I don't know if I believe that last option, Josh, because I would hope that our front office has a little bit more integrity than to leak a story about a player who, hasn't said that. But
it's business,
I can see
Ron. It's business. This happens all around the league. The Lakers been doing it for years. The Spurs do it. Like the Magic Johnson, they talked about trading Magic Johnson back in the 80s. Like, come on, this happens. This is business. I'm not holding this against the Knicks if they did it or whether they didn't do it. I'm not holding it against them. I'm just saying it happens. It's a part of the business.
What I'll tell you, I would be more inclined, which I could be wrong. Maybe you're right. I don't know, but I would be more willing to believe that the story is fake, right? That Berman made it up for whatever reason. He got an inkling of, well, he's the odd man out. This is happening, so he can't be happy. So he's probably going to want to be out of here. And let me run with that. I could see something like that happening. Or this is also very realistic. What you said is that Cam, understands. Listen, I just did this not too long ago. I don't want to be known as that guy, so I'm not going to tell the front office anything. I'm gonna tell my mans and them to reach out to Berman. Tell him, yeah, I heard that, he's not happy and would like to be moved, at least to be able to get that playing time that he feels he deserves to showcase his talents. So that way, even if he didn't formally request something with the Knicks, it creates the dialogue. So now somebody in the Knicks organization can say, hey, Cam, did you say this? No, I didn't say that. But he can start it going. They can get that conversation like, but, I do want to be able to play. I want to be able to.
Without formally doing it.
Right. So there's listen, we got to be real too. There's a possibility it could have happened in that way, but I just think it's those two. I would hate to think it's the Knicks, but I don't know. I'm not in that world, so I don't know. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I think that's pretty much enough for now. Steph's show is going to be going live at 9:20. We got about 5 minutes, so why don't we wrap up and get up out of here so that way we can usher Steph back with Dope Soul Sports Talk. I know it's going to be a good show tonight. Thank you for the super chat, Adele Chapman. Appreciate you. The generous super chat. Brunson will benefit whom the most on the team? Answer that real quick and we'll get out of here. I personally think if it was me looking at everything, I think Brunson honestly is going to benefit RJ and Randall the most. I think that's going to be a huge benefit for them so that they're not in a position to handle the ball more than they need to, handle the ball too often in not late game situations, but late shot clock situations when you have to be frantic and make a smart decision. That's not necessarily their forte, either one of them right now. but I think Brunson is more skilled at that, and I think that will definitely benefit them. And it's going to cut back on some of the turnovers for Julius, some of the turnovers for RJ, and maybe he will be able to put them in better spots to score, to get what they like. So I think it's going to help them both the most. What do you guys think?
To me,
Josh. Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I shouldn't have did that. John, what do you think?
Go Josh. Go Josh.
To me,
Okay.
I'm probably going to shock some people. Mitchell Robinson. I think he's going to help Mitchell Robinson. I think, a lot of times Mitchell Robinson gets most of his points off, dunks, putbacks, the offensive glass. But I think now that we have Brunson there, you might see a little bit more of the alley-oop game. You might see Brunson's craftiness around the rim, being able to get Mitchell Robinson involved underneath a little bit more from, his ability to penetrate the mid-range. I'm going to say Mitchell Robinson.
I could agree with that.
Nice.
What are you thinking, John?
I'm going to say Coach Thibodeau because it's going to allow for Coach Thibodeau to hold on to his job a couple more years.
Okay. I don't know if it's going to be enough. We'll see.
Hey, Ron, did y'all see Woj's latest tweet?
No, what are you throwing out there?
15 minutes ago from Woj ESPN, they said at the start of trade talks in July, New York offered Utah a Donovan Mitchell package that included RJ, Obi, and Mitch, and three unprotected.
Robinson?
Yeah, and 3 unprotected first-round picks. Sources tell ESPN. Jazz turned that down, and the Knicks signed Robinson to $60 million to stay with New York.
See that? So they never really wanted to, if there was 3 unprotected in that original throw-in, so they never really wanted to deal with the Knicks.
So what does that make you when you hear something like that, right?
That tax is real.
I don't necessarily think it's that. I think they probably thought they can get more because
they
ended
up with less.
Huh?
They end up with less now.
No, they got 3. They got 3 unprotecteds from Cleveland and the 2 pick swaps with those players. To me, what this tells me, based on reading that, was that the Knicks, like these young players that everyone's sitting there prioritizing and everything, the Knicks was about to risk it all. They were about to get rid of all of that. They didn't care about that. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what it tells me too, though, is, and maybe that's why Danny Ainge was ready to move on and just said, that's it, I'm done. I'll take that deal. So that's 2 times the Knicks burned them in a way, because I do remember that coming out initially. They wanted Mitchell Robinson, and what did the Knicks do? They signed them up. So now you can't do anything with them right now. Now you want RJ. Knicks do. They sign him up. So, I'm just saying. But whatever. Anyway, guys, it's always a pleasure to chop it up and talk to y'all. This is a tough day for a lot of Knicks fans, but I just think that you didn't have Donovan Mitchell, so it's okay. We can deal with it. It's not like we had him on our team and we lost him. We didn't have him, so we didn't get him. And listen, sometimes you got to understand.
We didn't have him. We didn't draft him. So
now that's the draft part. That's something we could be upset about. But anyway, Josh, well, go ahead, John. What were you say?
No, that's where we at. That's
what it is. Any final words, Josh?
Nah, thank you guys for having me on. It's gonna be crazy to see. Listen, I'm gonna try as hard as I can to be optimistic about this Knicks team. But right now, I just don't see it. Hopefully, we make some more moves and improve the roster a little bit. But as of right now, let's roll with the punches, play the young kids, all that good stuff, all that fun Knick optimistic narrative that we have to pretty much believe in until the next trade is made. Until then, we are who we are.
That's right.
Yeah,
we are who we are.
Smash that like button, guys, while you're here and on your way out. Smash that like button as you go, man. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. John, any final words, brother?
Yeah, man. Like as always, stay blessed out there. This is a fun time. Appreciate it, and looking forward to the next one.
There you go. Listen, shout out to my guy Jose, who will be back on the 1s and 2s. He's back today, but he actually had a prior engagement, but we welcome him back. Always a pleasure, Jose. Yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, smash that like button on your way out. Thank you. We appreciate it. Let's get them algorithms popping. Let them know we here. As I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans. We'll be back again. Tune in to this Saturday, 11 a.m. Know the Ledge. We're going to take a deeper look at this whole thing. I'm sure that's going to be a much very spirited, should I say, high-spirited conversation. So tune into that, guys. Thank you for rocking with us as always. And definitely get ready to go over to Dope Soul Sports Talk. The Queen is back from vacation. She's got a lot to say, and she comes back and drops a show on a day when Donovan gets traded. Oh, man. Must be interesting over there. So definitely, guys, go straight from here. Go over to see Dope Soul Sports Talk. Check out the Queen. We'll catch you on the next one. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us on the ones and twos. We out of here, folks. Run that.